Alright, so in today's video, I wanted to talk about a theory that's been going around the Final Fantasy VII community for quite some time now, and that regards Sephiroth in a potential redemption arc that some fans apparently do want to see. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, feel free to click the like button, and in honor of Sephiroth, smash the subscribe button with an octaslash if you want to stay up to date with my channel or if you like what you hear. So again, this theory has been going around the Final Fantasy VII community for quite some time now, but only recently am I really starting to see it pop up in a lot of places on YouTube and on Twitter in particular, and that's the idea of a Sephiroth redemption arc. Now, having researched this redemption arc, I can't really find too much information on what exactly it would entail. It just seems to be a lot of fans saying that they want Sephiroth to become a good guy again and join our team. So kind of elaborating on that, I guess the idea is that maybe Sephiroth is doing what seems to be like a bad thing, but in the background he's actually doing something good. Or maybe he is being manipulated by Jenova, and then he has a change of heart and breaks free from that manipulation and then decides to join our team and become a good guy and fight off Jenova to save the planet. Again, it's pretty sparse. I can't really find any concrete details on what exactly people want out of a redemption arc, other than the fact that people just want good guy Sephiroth on our side. Now, for me personally, do I want a redemption arc for Sephiroth? No! Sephiroth is one of those characters that you could deem irredeemable. He's just done way too many bad things. He's murdered Cloud's mother and destroyed his village. He killed Tifa's father. He tried to destroy the planet. Spoiler alert for those who are new to Final Fantasy VII, this is a really big one right here. He kills Aerith, who is one of the most beloved characters in all of Final Fantasy, and he tries to destroy the planet. He's an overall really awful person. He's a shithead times 7. So I don't see a character like that getting redeemed, and I don't know if I would want a character like that getting redeemed. And to bring up a really good point from YouTuber Dashing David, he uses the example of Negan from The Walking Dead. Now, if you're not familiar with The Walking Dead, Negan was the villain in the comics as well as the show for a couple of seasons, and he was portrayed by Jeffrey Dean Morgan. And Negan, from the viewer standpoint and from the good guy standpoint, was an absolutely awful character. And when I say awful, I don't mean like he's poorly written. I mean like he's a really bad dude. He does some horrible stuff. He kills off two of the most beloved characters in the series to the point where a lot of people tuned out and stopped watching. I think at one point in time, 17 million people were watching The Walking Dead every week, and when those two characters were gone, the ratings started to go on a decline. And for a couple of seasons, he pretty much just has his boot on the throat of our heroes, and it feels hopeless and endless, and you think, wow, this is a bad dude. There's no way we're ever gonna like him. But flash forward a couple of seasons later, Negan has been written as a character who is actually maybe not necessarily redeemable, but he's become a character who's kind of gray. Yeah, he's done a lot of really horrible, awful things, but he's starting to show remorse for a lot of the things he's done. And he explains on multiple occasions why he did what he did, why he acted the way he did. And since then, he's also done a lot of really great things. And by the end of the Walking Dead series, you can't help but kind of like Negan because he's made strides as a character to improve and get better and to try to make amends for the things that he's done, even though he knows there are certain things that he will never be redeemed for doing. To get away from the Walking Dead tangent, the whole point is that if they could somehow maybe write Sephiroth in a way where a redemption arc makes sense, then sure, but I don't see that happening within the span of 2 games. It's just too much work to do with too little time. So I'm not in favor of a redemption arc for Sephiroth. But the one thing that I have thought about on multiple occasions that I think would be really cool, and stay with me here because this one's kind of outlandish, and that is if we are in fact dealing with parallel universes, multiple timelines, and maybe even to an extent a multiverse of sorts in 7 Remake, then maybe, just maybe, there's a timeline out there where Sephiroth learned the truth about who he truly is, but it didn't break him. He didn't snap and become a bad guy. He stayed being a good guy. And what if our characters could somehow find a way to grab that version of Sephiroth, the good guy, the war hero, and bring him to our timeline to join the fight against Sephiroth Prime, the bad Sephiroth that wants to destroy and redo this entire reality and potentially timeline. So, the idea of maybe having a good version of Sephiroth somewhere out there, floating in the ether, who could join our squad would be kind of cool. If I'm being honest, the idea of it really just kind of pops me, for example, to use a wrestling term. So that is something that I would not mind, but trying to set that up and getting it to work, I think might be a little too confusing and convoluted, especially in the span of 2 games. So that's the video. That's me just throwing my hat into the ring in regards to this really kind of out of nowhere Sephiroth redemption arc fan theory that some people seem to be clamoring for. So I am Curious Corduroy. That is the video. Let me know in the comments down below, what do you guys think of this redemption arc theory for Sephiroth? Is it something you'd want to see happen? And if so, how would you do it? How would you bring Sephiroth back to the side of good to join our squad to save the planet? I will see you guys in the next video. Please remember to always be excellent to one another.